Oh, hi, Kate.
Hi, Emerson.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Can you tell
I
me your story? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
No, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
I just watched a couple of your videos on YouTube, and I really liked them. I really enjoyed them, so I impulsively made this appointment.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know the question that I usually ask. Can you tell me your seeking story and what got you here?
Yeah, well, as maybe usual, it's a bit of a long story, but
That's
I'll
okay.
I'll keep it short.
That's
Uh,
okay.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can bear to go into it in great long detail. But anyway, so yeah, years and years ago, like back in my 20s, was a long time ago, I I was a Buddhist, so I was a sort of
Oh, wow.
paid up member of a Buddhist group, and I lived in a Buddhist community, and I went on lots of Buddhist retreats and stuff like that. Anyway, I became disaffected with the group. It
Mm,
felt it felt very restrictive in the end. I
yeah.
mean, it had been really important to me because
Yeah.
I was in a bit real state mentally, emotionally, and it was kind of like a therapeutic community for a while. And then but then it began to feel restrictive,
Mm,
and I began to lose, all these beliefs and
yeah.
stuff. And I began to think, oh, it's not really true, is it? And stuff. So, okay, fast forward, I got married, I had kids, all that, and I didn't really bother about spirituality or anything like that. Anyway, I sort of got back into it about 11 years ago, and I discovered non-duality. And this was like, wow, this is good. Um, and I did the sort of Liberation Unleashed process.
Okay, yeah.
You know about that?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Ilona. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ilona. Yeah. And yeah, I something happened, and
Yeah.
I sort of I saw that the myself, was made up.
Yeah.
It was made up of like pieces that came together like a sort of optical illusion,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, and it wasn't
Like a narrative.
real. It
Yeah.
wasn't that, it was just bits put
Yeah.
together, cobbled together. And it wasn't like fireworks. It was just like I just laughed. It was
Yeah.
really funny. Um, and then I spent 6 months after that in sort of bliss,
Yeah.
like I was just in the flow,
Yeah.
like, oh, it was marvelous. It was. Um, and then inevitably, well, I don't know if that's inevitably, but like my son sort of got really, really depressed,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and he had a really major depressive episode, and I just crashed.
Yeah.
I was so scared about what would happen
Mm,
for him,
yeah.
and I felt so much pain
Yeah.
seeing him. He was really bad. Um, and after that, there was just sort of, actually he recovered from that, and he's been fine. And then my daughter went through such difficult stuff, and was really traumatic
Yeah.
for me. And it was like the my partner I was living with, it just fell apart. I was trying to get away. Anyway, basically, about 5 years of really difficult, stressful stuff, which,
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
yeah, was hard.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, things have been easier, event wise, stuff
Yeah.
in my life wise, and
Yeah.
my kids are okay. I still sort of worry about them and stuff, and um but then I've done sort of retreats, and with Adyashanti and Angelo DeLulo and stuff like that. So, but it's okay, it's good, but it's kind of, then I sort of lose interest because I just think, I don't know, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point? Which, you know, I, it does feel, sometimes it really does feel like a bit of a game. And
Hmm.
there's this real force in me, which is like, I want to be saved.
Yeah.
I want to find my salvation. I want to be saved from, like in Buddhism, it's old age, disease, and death. I
Yeah.
think about the things that can happen to you if you're alive.
Yeah.
No, I want to be completely in, invulnerable, unreachable. I just don't want to feel all that awful stuff. And that is really powerful, kind of impulse. And I know it's crap.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that.
You don't have to do that job
Yeah.
in a way, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, there's one part of my brain that that is complete crap and all that. It's
Yeah.
just this is, but then there's this other part. Oh no, I'm going to carry on believing that. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
like I have this bipolar.
Yeah. Like a schizophrenic, basically, right? It's like, you know, yeah.
Yeah,
So at this very moment, if you can go to the past, to the any ideas basically, or any past or future, what do you believe at this very moment?
if I can't go to the past.
Yeah, yeah, just this moment. Just very direct question, right? If you are not able to go to the past, if you don't have any reference, what is your belief right now?
Nothing.
Yeah. What's in between nothing and not nothing?
Well, I was going to say nothing, but it's not nothing. It's
Yeah.
just,
You can't say it,
yeah,
can you? You can't say it,
can't
can you?
say.
Yeah. So if you can't say it, if there's no past or future, then is there anything missing?
No.
No. There you go. It's that simple. It's that quick, right? Because we tend to go from here to here in our thoughts, but if you go in between when you can't say anything, it's the big I don't know. Because we are running from knowing, trying to know. From I don't know to knowing. Um,
Mm,
Going to the next, we think there's a next. That's knowing as well, right? But in the absence of any word, thoughts, or beliefs, there's some clarity here that's often overlooked, right? And it can be permanent. You know what I'm saying? But permanent is just
mm,
another idea, right? The moment that you think it's always here is what I'm trying to say. So you can't even say it's permanent or not permanent, but it's always present. Without this, without acknowledging it, it's always here. It's always been here, and it does not require self or no self. It's not an idea. So what's
mm,
between self and no self? Yeah,
mm.
and it goes into this directness that is like every speaker, teacher, whoever is trying to attempt to describe this, but they can't say the word. So they come up with something like liberation, awareness, consciousness, whatever, right? But words, I'm just basically going really direct so that you see that words are all made up. Every
Yeah.
belief is made up because if you go to the past or future, it will just continue, right? It's almost like a trance. We get
Mm,
a trance of thoughts and words, right?
yeah.
So this is breaking the trance by going in between. The trance is the opposites, right? From here to there, right? So what you probably saw when you work in like thing is that there's no self, but that just becomes another landing. it's probably nice, saying to have no self and everything. But what's between self and no self? You can't say it, can't you?
No,
No. Sorry, I answered it right away for you.
thank you.
Sorry.
Doing my homework.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying, right? So there's this clarity here. It's almost like sobriety from any ideas, not even non-duality, spirituality. You know what I'm saying? Because it just becomes another thing. Non-duality becomes another belief system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then you keep on following the teachers and speakers thinking that they know something that you don't know.
yeah,
So here's the exposure, here's the whistleblowing, right? No one
yeah,
knows. Everyone's just guessing because it's just, even knowing is just an illusion. It's made up, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's it is this, so there's a way in which, I don't know how to put this, but I can be in that space,
Yeah.
you know, knowing, not knowing, it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. Yeah.
It's
It's
just,
just
it's
concepts.
just, yeah.
It's
And
just,
it's just here, whatever.
yeah.
And then, but then, it's like it's like when I had that thing happen back in the past and
Yeah.
all that, but it was like this space opened up, like I had this extra room added in my house. It's not quite
Yeah.
like this, but I had this extra room in my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
How,
like, yeah, go
go,
on.
no, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Normally I'd live in this downstairs bit with, you know, I'm here, this is me, I'm doing that, the thoughts, da, da. But then I could sort of go up and visit that room.
Yeah.
And it was like just, well, it wasn't even a room, it was just open.
Yeah.
But it's like where I still live, it's like where I'd live is I'd come back down again
Yeah. Yeah.
into the thoughts,
Yeah.
you
What
talk
if,
about the addiction and all
yeah,
that.
it's just an addiction. It's almost like you had a relapse. Sometimes when you see that there is just no self, then the thoughts don't matter anymore
Mm,
because who's it coming from? So let's just put it this way: the self is a thought, maintaining thoughts. Even the idea self, you know what I'm saying? If you go to a little baby, they're like, "Do you have a self?" They don't know what's happening. So this is going back into that innocence, to that not reboot basically, or the natural, naturalness, where the words did not form yet. But since there are words, I'm saying, so what's in between words and no words? What's between this and not this? We get fixated on a location, on a rival, that we're missing out the beauty of what is appearing. It's like being in this world, but not of this world simultaneously. It's
mm,
being able to handle, for example, if the depression happened with your son, it's being able to get angry, but also empty at the same time.
mm,
It's not a state, right? It's what's permanent. It's what's always here when you're not thinking. So when you're not thinking, anger might arise, like what's happening with your son, or and before, kind of like thinking that you lost something that you attained, or something that was gained. It's not a gain, not even a loss.
no,
What's between gain and loss? There you go. Yeah. So it's almost like waking up from another dream. It's almost like some people go into this dream of no me. Some people go into the dream of no self. And that might last for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But and then you go back into the dream of the me again. So you just went back from one side to
mm.
another.
Well, at the time, it didn't feel like there was no self. It
Yeah.
just felt like it was like, oh,
Just a realization, like a
just
simple one.
like,
Yeah.
oh, this is just it. This is just, here it is. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was, you know what I mean? It wasn't like I had a concept, oh, I'm in no self.
Yeah.
I didn't have that at all. I
I
mean, so
just
it was
I was
odd.
yeah, I was just
Yeah,
talking to someone that she got trapped in the no self thing. So
right.
yours is a different thing. It's okay. It's all different for everybody, right? So
I mean, in a way, it was just so surprisingly, yeah, ordinary, and
yeah, yeah,
it was like. I know lots of things were, I mean, like I got really stressed, but I wasn't sort of taking the stress
Yeah. Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
But you know, it was just happening. And
Yeah.
you know, I had something went go on with my car, and oh, it was just ridiculous anyway. And I could feel my body reacting and the whole anyway, but it wasn't like, yeah, okay. I mean, but anyway, that's in the past and that's
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, whatever.
Yeah.
And but I it's like I feel like, and I think like in the videos I've watched that you had, you know, people kept saying this,
Yeah.
so I'm expecting the same answer, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to anticipate it
Yeah.
intellectually, like
Yeah.
and try and be there in my mind. I'm trying to really go to my experience here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, well, it's like the it's just the pull of the thoughts of the, you know, the addiction just feels really strong.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Of course. For example, you've been, a thoughtaholic, you know what I'm saying, for quite a while now again, right? It's almost like you relapse and went back into it. So there's chances that it might relapse again, you know what I'm saying? Or sometimes like if you go to the past or the future, go to the next, like taking a shot of something that you're addicted to, and then you get caught up in again. You take another shot, you take another shot, and you're like, you're intoxicated now with the idea that
Mm,
maybe I'll be fully enlightened or I will completely lose this or whatever. Whatever
mm,
idea will take you to the next, right? But when you start seeing it over and over again, that's just irrelevant.
mm.
And then there's almost kind of like the thing sometimes with the thing sometimes with a lot of increases, there's um including this, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter, is that it's easy, but the difficulty is thinking that you have to maintain it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is so true.
Yeah. So what if
That is
there's no
so
next?
true.
Yeah. What if there's no next?
Mm,
It's just simple, right? What if there's no next? So whatever appears, it's it. It will pass. Thoughts come and go until they don't bug you anymore. But go in the between, right? Like I like, you know what? I don't even care what they call it now, right? Because it does help a lot of people. I have people that are in severe depression that they're like, oh my goodness, Emerson. I get letters about that now. So yeah, so when you're the trance of the next is beginning to come again, the pull of, losing and everything, even if it happens, just put it in between. Or ask yourself, what do I believe in this very moment if I can go to the past? And it's so easy. It goes just immediately, right? You're kind
mm,
of like because you've been here before.
mm.
Eventually you won't need the training wheels anymore. You're just biking.
So, you know, oh, I don't want to say
Go for
it's a
it.
practice,
It doesn't
uh,
matter. I'm
but
not caught up with anything anymore. You
you're
know what I'm
not, you
saying?
know, you're going to
Yeah.
jump on me and bite my head off.
No.
No. So, so, you know, it's like keep reminding myself, you know, what
It's
if
just
there's
like
no,
it's just like having a fly swatter, right? You know what I'm saying? When the flies are gone, you put down the fly swatter until you don't need it anymore. You're like, oh, there's no more flies.
yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes I get in, I mean, that makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Sometimes I get into this thing, which is just very, is not, is very unproductive of, you know, like fighting thoughts or like, oh, I had a
Yeah,
thought.
not really. When you start seeing that it's irrelevant, then fighting is just another thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Well, it's like this other thought comes up. Oh no, I, I
That's
don't
also
want that
relevant.
thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's also relevant. Anything that basically goes to the past or the future. It's not about getting rid of thoughts, of course, right? It's just seeing
Mm,
that they're transparently empty, they're irrelevant,
mm,
that they're meaningless, really, right? So, um, and it's some people it's a snap, right? There's this, you've seen videos that person goes, I don't have any thoughts anymore. And then there are people who are like, why does it keep on coming back? I have moments of
Mm,
clarity. It's different for everybody, right? It's like everybody's thumbprint, eye print or whatever is completely different. It's also going to appear differently for each character, right? So, and that's the conundrum of, or the not really the failure, but the misinterpretation of this is when someone apparently gets this, they think that it has to be the same as theirs. But I've
mm,
witnessed probably over 1,000 now of people going, some people cry, some people like as if it's nothing at all. Some people were like, what's the big deal of this? Or some people going, oh my goodness, I've been looking for this. And it's all different, right? And then some people
mm,
snap out of it completely. They message me like a year later and they're like, I haven't had a thought. It's kind of weird, right? Or it could be someone going, oh, you know what? I tried, Emerson, but I'm still, it's different for everybody, right?
mm,
Because there's this idea that it's permanent. There's no such thing as
mm,
permanent, but what's permanent is that in between. It's there before you're
mm,
born. It's there before you, after you die, saying it's not a thought. It's the alpha
mm,
and the omega. It's the unthinkable, right? So no matter what
mm.
seems to appear, it's what's always here.
It's
So it
the
doesn't matter.
unthinkable.
Yeah, the
I
unthinkable, right?
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you go in between and you can't think, the
No,
unthinkable. Yeah.
no.
It's almost like an experience without an experiencer, right? It's direct, right? So and you don't
Yeah.
need to go through like 3 weeks of inquiry with somebody, you know what I'm saying, or 2 weeks or however long it took. It's very immediate. Much respect to, like the inquiry stuff, because it did give you 6 months of clarity, right? So so
Yeah. It
much
was well
respect.
worth
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Much respect to it. But what I'm trying to say, there's a new way. I haven't really seen anyone do this. Some people are trying to say that some, but I haven't seen it. I'm being honest. You know what I'm saying? If there was one, I would, it just basically came up because I was doing a lot of one-on-ones and just because I'm all talk, you know what I'm saying? I've been doing this one-on-ones for 3 years, but there's I always say this, it's not in what I say. And then sometimes they just click into it. But now the what do you call it? The coda, you know what I'm saying? It's like almost like everybody goes into that peacefulness, goes into this awakeness or whatever, right? Because it's more how do I say it? It's more refined.
Mm,
I don't mess around anymore. I just go directly for it, right?
mm, mm,
And I'm not caught up in any secondhand ideas of somebody. I did not learn this from anyone, basically. It's just something that just happened directly. Yeah.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I, I feel that from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm humble enough to credit someone if I learned this from someone, but I haven't. It's just something that appears one day, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's working, perfect, right? It's like a refinement of something. But I've been
Mm,
doing this for 3 years now, or probably more, um, on the sideline anyway, while I was working, and I would just meet where people are at, right? So,
mm,
and it's a nice feeling, isn't it? It's like, oh my goodness, yeah.
mm,
And then some people are kind of like, you know what? Some people have beliefs of what this should be, but I don't care about beliefs. That's just another interpretation of it. At least when I
mm,
do this, there's something here that's palpable. Yeah.
mm.
It's not
Well,
something that I passed on. Yeah.
it feels well. People say this to you. What's a fly? People say this to you as well. It feels very easy
Yeah.
when you in conversation with you.
Oh,
Feels very yeah. It feels very natural and
yeah.
very present. That it's just easy actually. But but people always come with a but when I'm back out there.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah,
That's just
Yeah.
another thought, an idea that there's something special
Mm.
in me, right? It's just maybe have
Well,
patience.
yeah. I mean, I get that it's not that special,
Yeah.
but that, you know, well, that's something you, I don't know what word is, you embody, you know, that ease.
Yeah. Well, I've been like this for quite a while now, so maybe that's why, right? So um it has in the story anyway, it has settled in.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I've gone through all the suffering and all the belief systems. So most likely I'll know where people are coming from, right? So it's kind of like I've been there before, right? It's like the
Mm.
confusion, the frustration, the suffering, the delusion, the doubt, right? All that kind of stuff. So it's almost like I've been through so much bullshit that I've done so much BS basically that this basically kind of like um made such an honest character out of this, right? Because I don't want anyone to suffer like I did.
Mm.
Yeah. Because when you get the bug, right, it's quite, you know what I'm talking about, right? When you get the bug of seeking, you're almost like a neurotic person looking for something,
Mm.
even though you conceptually you get it that it's this already or whatever. Um,
Mm.
so basically what I do is I strip down what you believe so you could come back into something that you never left.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's now it's ordinary. It's not like mystical or it's natural.
Well, that's kind of a relief
It
too,
is.
to really connect to that.
Yeah.
And yet, on the other hand, but it is the seeker, this part that desperately, wants salvation, wants something
Then the best
else.
compassion is to say that there's no next.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the most compassionate thing that somebody can do is just be brutally honest, right? Because
Mm.
if I dangle, can like say that, well, when the me drops away, then or the contracted energy or the when you
Mm.
become aware, when you see it in a consciousness, when you discover the I am, that kind of thing. It's just all concepts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to piss off people, right? Because there's so many people that get pissed off because I'm stepping on their belief systems.
Mm.
Yeah. But what did my belief system got me to, right? Nothing but
Mm.
suffering. It's almost like I'm guarding this secret belief system. And that's why there's almost like, and that's why a lot of people that come to me, it's like they're sick of seeking.
Yeah.
They've done this already.
Yeah.
Or that young kid that has basically neurotically seeked for the past year or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that a lot of people have tasted the suffering part already.
Yeah.
You've listened to everybody, kind of like what you're saying. You went to Adyashanti, Angelo Delulu, and then it's like having a retreat. You feel good, saying, but it's not, it's like watching a movie.
Mm.
You come home and it's like, okay, you know,
Yeah. And it feels like, I remember like watching a Stephen Wolinski, video. I mean, he's a sort of Nisargadatta fan,
yeah,
but he said he was on retreat with Ram Dass and he suddenly had this realization of sitting meditating. He said, God, this spirituality, it's all a game.
it is. It is,
And I
yeah.
thought, yeah, he said, it's a game I like, but it is a game.
It is a game, yeah, yeah. And then if
And
you like, you just keep on going back in the merry-go-round, basically, right? So,
yeah,
yeah.
and yeah,
And much love to all the speakers and teachers. They're just expressing, this the way that they see it, perhaps, right?
mm,
So,
yeah, I mean,
or
it,
or repeating what they've heard from someone, an authority, basically, like a solid people like Ramana Nisargadatta or, Papa
mm,
G, that kind of stuff, right? So, um,
yeah.
but what if we question all of that?
Well, yeah, because
Yeah,
these people are just human and they're just
exactly.
like,
What if
you
we
know,
see them equally as just empty, just like what's happening
mm,
here, right? No higher or lower. And that's what got me trapped for quite a while, is because I kept on putting people in pedestals.
yeah,
Yeah. And the
yeah,
reason that this is kind of like, in a way, I don't want to make it so special, but it's something new that's happening, is because I'm sick and tired of sitting on a pedestal, right? So this time around when I'm speaking, like, why don't we just equally talk about this without any hierarchy?
mm, yeah,
Yeah.
like,
So that you and I meet in between and we both disappear, right? And then all we have is words. But we also say that all words are made up. So we have to keep on reminding that, oh, this is a story, but. But at the same time, we're on equal footing now. There's something that there's not like someone knows here and you don't know there, that you're trying to get to where
mm,
I am, right?
yeah, yeah, because there isn't anywhere to get
No,
it actually.
yeah, no. And that's clarity. Delusions is like, okay, is there, how can I maintain this clarity?
Mm,
Mm,
yeah,
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 yeah.
it's this constant struggle to
Mm,
be somewhere else.
of course, yeah, because
Get,
the illusion of time is always trying to get to the next, right?
yeah,
Yeah. The illusion is that there's something missing.
yeah,
And then even the feeling that when we come here, like there's this um feeling of, the body touching, tactile stuff, smelling the air and everything, senses happening, sensations, vibration. The moment the thought gets into it, they'll be like, oh, something's missing.
mm,
But it's just sensations appearing, it's just movements and stillness.
yeah, yeah. And so I like have this, I have a lot of anxiety. And I mean, it's not like I have panic attacks or anything like that, but I notice, wake up in the morning and it's what I call anxiety. So I have this whole, this is what I call it. Oh, and this is like, oh, I have a lot of explanations
Yeah.
about
It's
what's
like
happening.
it's a fear of the next, basically, right? So that's why there's
Mm,
anxiety. What if
yeah,
that fear of the next, what if there's no next and the fear is just a word?
yeah.
I used to have anxiety too, right? And I could not find the next, really. So I was like, oh my goodness, what was I thinking before? What the hell? Because it's almost like a spell. Next, the next, right? So I'm
Mm,
blind to the ordinariness, the mundane magic of what's happening in front.
yeah,
Yeah. The first, like when there was a lot of clarity, that popped, it was just that popped all of the concept. I was looking around people, I'm like, everyone is insane
mm,
because they're caught
yes,
up in their thoughts. Oh my goodness, wow. They're really believing that thought. They're really believing the identity, right? So, um,
yeah,
and I encounter people now in meetings and everything, and even one-on-ones, that they're just so caught up in the narrative. And some
yes.
people just hold on to that belief system, that sacred cow that they have, because they believe that someone got it and someone said something and they bought what they said.
Yeah,
So if Nisargadatta said, I am, then, and they're like, that's the truth. The
yeah,
truth is just a word. The
yeah,
moment that you believe in truth, there's duality already, because there's going to be a false.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if you go sneakily, kind of like almost like like a roguish, kind of like go in between true and false, you'll be like, oh, there's no such thing.
yeah.
It's made up. Yeah.
It's made up.
Yeah. But people don't like hearing that. People that believes in consciousness or God and everything, right? How dare
Mm,
you say that?
yeah,
Yeah. And that stance keeps them seeking.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm not making anyone wrong. And I'm also not making anyone right. That's the difference that I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to push you into a place where where you don't have to believe in what I say. You feel it.
Yeah.
or not even feel is a weird word, but you are it,
Yeah.
not just talk. And you know what? And to like people actually, more people now, um, watch the one-on-one that seemingly get it right. You know what I'm saying? So it's not me, you know what I'm saying? It's just what's being expressed
Mm.
because that's just a video of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like, how did you, when you encountered it, how did you feel? Was it similar to this, or was it kind of like, oh, there's something new here
When I
when you first encountered my videos?
yeah, I felt, yeah, yeah, it was, I mean, there felt like there's a bit, there's a similarity with some of the, radical non-duality
Yeah.
stuff, but the way you express it, because in a way, all that radical non-duality stuff becomes a thing, like you're saying, it
Yeah.
becomes a thing, a belief. It's so easily,
So
actually,
easily. Yeah. Yeah.
and it because you know, it's kind of a bit fixed or something. It's a
It's an
bit
absolute,
kind of
it's a truth. It's positioned as an
yeah,
absolute, right? So like, for example, the absolute statement, there's no one here, there's no
yeah,
me, and everything
yeah,
that stems from that is a negation. Like, for example, if you say, um how can I get this, and they're like, there's no one to get this, and
yeah,
then how do I know this? There's no one to know this. But if you try
mm,
to question it, if there's a lot of holes in it, right? But who
yeah,
knows that there's no one? And like, no one knows that there's no one. So it just becomes
yeah,
linguistic gymnastics, like
mm,
jargon basically, right? So, but the speaker doesn't see that they're just spewing belief systems.
yeah,
And they're basically, it's almost like a performative now, the way that they
yeah,
act, right? So everybody, it's almost like a uniform thing. And if you are a bit different from that one, you don't get as popular. You become one of the lesser kind speaker. But when you mimic it completely the same, then it's like, then of course everybody will think that, oh, there's no me there. No me is just a thought. There's no such thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 That I mean, at
Kind
least
of
the
like what
Buddhists,
Alan Watts said, right? If you push some of these teachers, surely they'll fall.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. Feet
Yeah.
of clay.
Pinch them to see if they react. If they don't react, they're like, oh my goodness, I should follow you forever. Or,
I mean,
if
I
they're
think,
walking away, call them by their name. If they turn around, they're faking it. And sometimes, you know what, because people have loyalties to these people, right? It's
mm,
hard to hear what I'm saying
mm,
because they look at them as fathers, as,
yeah,
whatever, right? Father figures, or someone enlightened, someone me, someone that has a no me, right? So anyone basically.
yeah, because, there's something in human beings that wants a savior, and,
Exactly. Yeah.
someone who's transcended this veil of
Yeah.
tears and all that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, that I can feel that in myself.
Yeah.
But because that means there's an out, there's an
Yeah.
escape,
Yeah.
because at least, or even if you can't get to this person, because it's a paradox, isn't it? You can't ever actually get to be that person, because then they wouldn't be the savior for you. They wouldn't be the person
That's
on
right.
the
Yeah.
pedestal. So you can't kill the Buddha on the river, because if you do
Yeah.
that, then you've got no person there who's the savior, and who you just hold
That's
on to
right.
their
Yeah.
the
That's
tail,
right.
their robe. They carry
Yeah.
you to heaven or something.
And their enlightenment, they're hanging on the coattails of the person's enlightenment, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, they're doing it by proxy. I'm enlightened by proxy because I'm with this person, right?
Yes.
But when they see the, when they they see them, but if they really see them, you know what, they're just really ordinary folks
Mm.
that gossips and talk shit about everybody else, and then sometimes it appears in their talks, you know what I'm saying? But people
Mm.
get blind all of a sudden, right? Or
Yeah.
deaf, you know what I'm saying? It goes to deaf ears because they believe that, that this person can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're getting, groomed to be followers.
Mm. Well, it's a game, isn't it? It's
It
another
is, yeah,
human
yeah,
game that we
I,
amuse ourselves with
yeah,
while we're waiting to die, I
yeah.
suppose.
It is just a game, and even dying is just a game. What's that even?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's just a thought again.
the thought.
It's a thought, yeah.
Yeah.
And everything will start clearing up more, right? Because it's almost like, it's like climbing the Mount Everest. And then when you get to the top of the mountain, um, you notice that the top is the same as the bottom. That there's no peaks. Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm back at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
And that's the surprise. You're like, okay, well, if you can start climbing it again if you like, or you can just say, oh, you know what? There's a lake over there. I think I'll take a bath. Rather than struggling again, like there must be something there. But when you get to
Mm.
the top, you're back at the bottom. And then if you believe the speakers, that the top
Mm.
is like Satchitananda or something, or the dropping away of the me, then you'll just keep on like Sisyphus, you just keep on climbing it over and over again, pushing a rock. In the morning it rolls down again and go back to the bottom.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's like Sisyphus. It's
Yeah.
right.
Sisyphus. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So this is the time to leave the mountain.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Because no one's going to tell you this from people that's making money from this. People are not going to tell you to leave, right?
Yeah.
And that's basically what I'm doing is getting people out of this madness. The end of seeking, the end of the story, right? Do you want to go back, climb another mountain?
And so I kind of noticed then. So it felt like there was this seeking was happening in me, or I mean, a sensation in my body was
Yeah.
happening, and then I called that seeking, and
Yeah,
then I
because the
thought,
thought hijacks, whatever sensation's happening
yeah,
as like, oh, there's something missing, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
but then I sort of had this sense it's okay,
it's okay. Yeah.
it's
If you
okay,
take away, if you take away the word of whatever seems to be appearing,
yeah,
and then it's just sensations. If you take away
mm,
the word sensation, it's really nothing. And it's just an invitation to get drunk again in the trance of
mm,
movements, right? And the dance of separation, right? So, but the dance of
yeah,
separation, it goes back into stillness because the movement is all made up. But there's this contentment here that I've never felt with being enlightened, because even being enlightened, when I thought that I had a great awakening, when situations like relationships, my mom, what I was trying to maintain it, but I kept on maintaining that
mm,
enlightenment. I did
mm,
all bunch of practices. I did, I and I was almost guarding it because you know what? thinking that I might lose this. This is a blessing or a grace for me. This is something that I attained. But the
Mm.
problem is when you attain it, you also lose it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the
Yeah.
sobriety of that is there's just this, this unspeakable, right? The moment that you talk about it, you might think that you lose it. You might think that you have it. Both are irrelevant. It's just
Yeah.
talk. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a silence here that's
Yeah.
permanent. You get it now? Beautiful,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't believe, that there's levels and all that kind of stuff, right? Because they're just more thoughts. In the
Yeah.
story, there might be some whatever, what I'm saying, but it's getting caught up in the story again. Is there any levels at this moment? Is there anything missing? Is there any inquiry needed even? No. And it's so peaceful. It's not a high anymore. This is like sobriety, right?
Mm.
My first awakening, I guess the I am, whatever people might want to call it, or Kundalini, whatever, felt like a high.
Mm.
And the high was quite horrible because kind of like you know this, right? It was like after the high, it was like a big, it's almost like you fell off a mountain
Mm.
and you're rock
Mm.
bottom. You're like,
Mm.
why? How did I lose this? What
Mm.
do I
Mm.
need to do? Do I need to chop off my own head? And then you sober up again. This time around, you know what I'm saying? When I could not find my thoughts, I'm like, oh, shoot. I did see this before, but I'm stubborn, right? But I kept on fighting it, right?
Mm.
Because there is going to be a sense of there's something more.
Mm.
And then you think that you're more enlightened if more people follow you. You think
Mm.
that you're more enlightened when people are holding on to your words. And I saw the
Mm.
deceit of that.
Mm.
I saw that, like when you're focused on just gaining popularity and traveling all over the world to gain momentum, then you just made it into, then you just basically are pushing that rock all the way to the mountain again, thinking that you're
Mm.
enlightened. You're still Sisyphus. Yeah.
Mm.
But when you get to the top, and you see that it's the same thing as the bottom, and you're like, oh well, I tried. Now I'm gonna have contentment, so I'm gonna be at peace with it. Then you sober up, you're like, oh my goodness, what a nightmare that was. Right.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. Seeking is like waking up for a nightmare. And then the moment that you wake up, you press the snooze button again,
Mm. Yeah.
thinking that if you go back to sleep, you'll get it.
I
You'll get
gotta
out of
go.
the nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got to do it. But yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it is, it is just, I don't know. There is something, a sensation in the body.
Yeah.
When you're right about the sobriety, because it's like urge to you, like when I want chocolate, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I must have some chocolate,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
you know, and so it's like that. It's like that, what do they call? Yeah, yeah, urge to.
It's like a sensation, right? That there's something
Mm.
missing, right? Like
Yeah,
even you saying ice cream, I'm like, ice cream. You know what I'm saying? And it's just
yeah,
it's just a there's this mysterious thoughts that just come and just takes over, and
mm.
and then you think that that's reality.
Yeah,
But what if the word reality is just another word?
yeah,
We do come in and out of this parent existence, right? We go to sleep, we disappear. We wake up, we're here. And then when we're not thinking, we're not here. When we're thinking, overthinking, then we're suffering. It's like a
mm.
game. but the player is invisible and there's no source to the player. You can't reference this back to a player or whatever, because
No.
that was the I think the I don't want to say mistake. That was the idea before, that there was a source to all of this.
Mm.
And again, that safety net that I'm taking care of, right?
Yeah.
That safety net that I'm going to be fine. So it's almost like an ingrained thing, right? That, that there is a, that I'm okay. But without thoughts, it doesn't matter if you're okay or not okay. In silence, okay and not okay is irrelevant. See what I'm trying to get at?
Mm.
Because that maintains the narrative. I'm okay right now. I wonder when I'm not going to be okay. So it always
Yeah.
creates an opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But if you go to between them, then the dream of words disappear. They vanish. Or like, oh,
Mm.
back to that simplicity. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the going in between.
Yeah.
That's the freedom
The freedom. Yeah. From ideas of freedom.
from idea. Yeah, of course, it's another
Yeah. Yeah.
thought. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And then if you go at this, right, like if you look at the 10 feather, someone basically said that this is the 10 feather, you're taking everybody to the last one, which is not
Mhm.
knowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's the fast track then.
Yeah. Yeah. And you did Buddhism before, so you must know about the 10 feathers or something, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, fast track, right? It's like there's no beginning or ending. So here it is. The
Yeah.
moment that you don't know, then it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where does knowing take you? Just again, pushing that rock on top of the mountain when it just goes all the way down again.
Like it, well, knowing makes something real
Yeah.
in something. Well, it's not real or unreal, but it makes it real in a certain way.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
you
Like
know,
there is a belief now, right? So
yeah.
there's like like it's like when there's a belief system, then it creates this idea that I know.
Mm,
So the I is now a belief that's very strong, and knowing supports that. And then you add the word truth to it, then you're screwed.
mm.
You're always thinking that you know the truth, so it blocks you, right? It's like when they say, what, if you want to enter the kingdom of God, you have to enter through the eye of the needle. And if you have any baggage of knowing, belief, or non-belief, then you will never get through. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And before someone goes, well, there's no one to get through, that's the belief that I'm talking about.
Mm, yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's just a much. It's like atheism. It's just a much a belief as
It is. And if
believing in
somebody
God.
goes that there has to be an I am, that's a belief, right?
Yeah,
But people don't want to admit that. They're like, it's not a belief because I heard this from, because you don't
yeah.
want to look like, that you're wrong, right? Or someone's wrong. Because
Mm,
there's a lot of investment in speakers and teachers and everything. And even people that invested in me for quite a while, right? Were heartbroken every time that I come into clarity. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a gift that, it well, feels, you're really giving of yourself in a in an authentic way.
Yeah.
Okay, just saying a thing,
Yeah.
but
There's a lot of people that don't like this, because it's challenging their belief systems,
yeah.
right? And you know what? From what I've done so far, I've never heard of someone that's been harmed by this. Their life has gotten better. I get so
Mm,
many, I get gifts, you know what I'm saying? And from random people from 2 years ago, right? I'm like, what's happening? And I'm not doing it for the gifts and everything. I'm one of those
mm,
crazy guys that has a sign, don't go there, don't stop seeking, end it. You'll waste your life basically, right?
mm.
When there's the gardens and then the walking and the dogs and the parents and falling in love and looking at the sunset, looking at the sunrise, eating buffet, that kind of thing, or the little joys in life, or feeling old, or thinking that, oh my goodness, I can't do parkour anymore, or
Mm.
the frailty of the body, that kind of thing, right? Or
Mm.
even that feeling that this will be over soon.
Mm.
I spent 30 years in this cocoon of suffering, of thinking, right? It's time to fly. You know what I'm saying? And just thinking is like going back to the cocoon when you already have wings to get out. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna stop the recording here.
Yeah.
How are you feeling though
Thank-
before? You feeling
Sorry?
okay? How are you
Yeah,
feeling?
I feel good.
That's good.
I've really enjoyed
That's good.
conversation.
That's good. Yeah. It's just basically like a simple thing, like
Mm.
it's like an exit interview of people that wants to stop seeking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, an exit. That's good. I like it.
Yeah.
Uh,